Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. You guys know the drill. Every day at TSM, it's a banger. I feel like I've already opened a ton of videos saying just that, but it just perfectly conveys the message because we always have some craziness to talk about with TSM. And yeah, the last couple of weeks have not been an exception to that. There has been a lot of different TSM related news going on. I think there's one extra hilarious, extra dramatic, extra interesting story, but also there's been a couple other small stories, and Spica has been streaming and he has been talking a little bit more than I'm sure TSM would like about his experience with TSM, about what this year was like for TSM, which is cool, you know, getting to peel back the curtain a little bit and at least hear from his perspective. Now, hey, there's 2, 3, 4, 10, whatever sides to every story. He's just telling it from his perspective or what he remembers, or even his version of these stories, or his version of the truth, or whatever. Maybe not even the truth, who knows, but Spica's been saying some stuff. But so I just wanted to go through all different kinds of TSM news. We're going to be capping it off at the end with the most hilarious stuff, the craziest stuff, the biggest story that I tweeted out, and the tweet actually did super well because it just sounds so damn ridiculous. But first up, I want to talk about this, the fact that not this, Spica talks about what's wrong with Springs, but we'll get to that in a second. I don't know what, my nose just started running super bad. But thank you, K's. This is a big one. Today, or this is a couple days ago, but TSM announced the departure of their LCS strategic coach and head scout, Kays. This is very interesting because at the beginning of the year, Kays was like, I think, supposed to be stepping into a larger role with TSM. It seemed like he was there for good. It seemed like he was there to stay. And then, if you guys remember, like one of their coaches, Tonington, got fired like a week or two into the season. I still don't think we even know why. Then Kays had to step from like a scout strategic role back into like a coaching role, and it was kind of the beginning of what was going to be a crazy year for TSM. So it is a little bit weird to see Kays then end up leaving after the season, but it does seem like, at least from the rumors, that Kays is going to have a ton of different options. He's like one of the most well-respected non-head coaches in the entire LCS, or really in the entire like Western League of Legends scene. We know Blippo like shouted him out on broadcast at one time. I really think losing Kays is going to be a big hit for TSM. Obviously this year didn't go great for them, but losing any valuable assets they have is not going to make things any better. So losing Spica and Kays already so far, I think both those guys are going to be pretty hard to replace. Then we had this. This isn't super crazy, but when Spica was streaming, he did actually confirm that Reckless wanted to join TSM last year, but only wanted to join if TSM had Bjergsen. But that does tell us a couple things. One, TSM Reckless almost happened, because we know Bjergsen almost stayed with TSM. You know, Bjergsen said he considered staying with TSM, and it just came down to, at the end of the day, Team Liquid had a better roster on paper and had a better roster in reality. Obviously, Team Liquid finished better than TSM both in the spring and summer, and looking at the roster that Team Liquid had on paper, yeah, holy shit, that was a very good team. On paper, even though they didn't end up being that good, it still ended up being better in TSM. But man, if TSM could have gotten some roster together that would have made Bjergsen stay, and they could have brought Reckless in as well, holy crap, that would have been so exciting, so fun to watch, but also would have been so, like, the fans would have been so excited. Bjergsen, TSM, Reckless, 3 insanely huge brands, bringing them all together, bringing NA fans, LEC fans, everything. That would have been just a complete 180 from what happened with TSM this year. This year, TSM was bad and had no fans, and nobody really cared about them. They probably would have been better and had a ton of people caring about them. Like, man, how different could 2022 could have been? But yeah, this also shows us that Reckless is, you know, potentially willing to come to NA. I don't know if that means he's going to be coming to NA in 2023 or not, or if he's going to be considering it or whatever. But at least there was some world where we could have seen Reckless in the LCS, and some world where we could have seen Reckless on TSM. We also had this. Spica is streaming, and this guy kind of just posted his thoughts and kind of like a timeline of what Spica was talking about. He said Spica is currently talking about Spring Split, saying how a big part of it was Shenny not adjusting well to a team environment. He said he understood where it came from, and he was being put in a bad position, but it was hard to give criticism to him, and it was an us against him situation. Again, it didn't feel like feedback or criticism was constructive. It just felt like, hey, if we told him, hey, you're doing something wrong, you should try this or whatever, that it seems like, you know, he was a little bit defensive, not taking that stuff very well. Who knows if that's a cultural difference, a language barrier thing, or if you know, he's just maybe not someone that takes criticism very well. I don't really know. He said Shenny was not benched for locking in Rel. He was benched for locking in Rel and not thinking it was a problem when talking with the coach, which I think we kind of already knew. That's kind of the truth that already came out a little bit. I don't really think anyone think he got benched just for locking in Rel. He also mentioned that Shenny complained about not getting the shot call to the public, again, like on his streams and stuff like that, and to his friend in the call or the conversation or whatever, but he didn't express that in private to the team. He didn't speak up. He just complained about it on stream, but he was told that he could, but didn't step up and stayed quiet. He mentioned that he was super talkative during Champions Queue, but super quiet with the team, which is just really, really strange, and I'm sure very, very frustrating for TSM and Spica and all the other guys of like, what the heck, you're going on stream and talking shit about us, but then we get in here and now you're not saying a word, you won't shot call, you won't do anything, you're fighting with the coaches, you're troll picking on stage. Very, very weird situation. He also talked with Tactical about being put in a terrible situation, being paired with a non-English speaker. He couldn't communicate with either Mia or Shenny. That's kind of crazy too, you know, thinking that Shenny doesn't speak English and apparently Mia doesn't speak English or doesn't speak great English or whatever, because obviously 2022 was very, very detrimental to Tactical's career, you know, making him look very, very bad when apparently, you know, him and Spica might believe, hey, he wasn't even really set up for success. He said especially because Tactical is a confidence player. He felt like he wasn't given a fair shot or even given much time with Chime, obviously, you know, before getting benched for Instinct. He talked about how he was scapegoated during spring and actually held no issue with the org, and he actually held no issue with the org. He said they could have said something, but he felt that the fans, us here on Reddit, completely overreacted and were completely opposite to what was happening. Said that the TSM sub just took the LPL label and applied it to Shenny and deluded themselves because of without any actual understanding of what was happening. He's not really in any contract negotiations at the moment. Team's not really reaching out so far from Worlds. He said he would prefer to stay in NA, but would consider EU if a solid offer happened. So I think that is also very interesting that he would potentially consider the LEC, that he prefers to stay in the LCS, and didn't really say anything about the LPL. So it does not seem like that is something that's really on the table at this point. But here is the biggest banger. This is the absolute shebang. This is what I tweeted out, and this, I don't know, got like 400 likes on Twitter or something like that. Spica says Peter Zhang may have submitted another player's VODs for Kaido. Now that just sounds like a fucking meme. Like, how could this be true? How could this happen? Spica says he's not sure if it's 100% true. We'll watch a clip here in a second. But also, it would explain TSM season so much. It would explain how you end up with like a 9th place LDL mid laner as the starting mid laner for TSM, as the guy who is, you know, the next mid laner in line after Bjergsen, and how your team finishes dead last or tied for dead last, whatever you want to call it, in the spring split in the LCS, and then finishes 7th in the regular season in summer. What a year, what an offseason, what a turn of events. The Peter Zhang situation was obviously crazy, but to blame it all on Peter Zhang pulling off something like this, you have to hold other people accountable as well, because this is just freaking ridiculous.
Hearts got a Kaido guy. Actually, apparently, I don't know if it's true or not, but apparently, like, Peter submitted VODs. Like, we were doing a scouting, we had like a scouting thing where there's like LDL players, right? And apparently, I don't know if it's true or not, Peter submitted a different VOD that we thought was Kaido, I think. So he just submitted a VOD of like a different person. I don't know if it's real or not. That one's not confirmed, but if that's real, it's kind of funny. Cause he handles all the communication, right? So like, he actually can't handle all the communication because no one in TSM spoke Chinese. So like, he was doing like the communication between all the.
I mean, how crazy is that? I mean, the worst part is again, Spica said he doesn't know if it's 100% true or confirmed or whatever, but he said if it is, it's funny. And yes, the worst part of that is that it's believable, that it's crazy. When we saw how much TSM dropped the ball in 2022, if that was real, yes, that's unbelievable. Yes, that's ridiculous. Yes, that is hilarious. But I would believe it. And that's what's crazy. And Spica says there too, you know, nobody else spoke Chinese. Well, hey, maybe you shouldn't be freaking rushing into bringing in a whole Chinese team when you have one member of your organization that even speaks Chinese in the first place. The whole thing was doomed from the beginning. Going LDL players made almost no sense. Going with mid LDL players made even less sense. Giving Peter Zhang this much power, unchecked power, made no sense. Giving Kaido the keys to your team when he hadn't even proven himself in the minor leagues in China made no sense. And yeah, the jokes and the memes are like, oh, maybe they submitted Chovy VODs for Kaido or something like that. Like, the jokes just make themselves. And man, what a freaking downfall from TSM. You know, they claim to want to be the pinnacle of esports or whatever, or the premier esports organization. But when shit like this happens on top of the absolutely ridiculous, like, this might not even be the most ridiculous story from TSM in 2022. Obviously, it's not even confirmed, but like, say it is true, or if it, whatever. Again, the fact that it's even believable, I think, tells you enough. But this would maybe be top 5, maybe be top 10 for the amount of ridiculousness that TSM went through this season. I hope they can improve going into the future, but man, these are some dark times and dark days. But as somebody sitting from the outside, this was hilarious. That's why I had to tweet it out. We all got a good laugh about it. And yeah, I don't know. TSM needs to go 2023 fast. But I do appreciate Speaking going on stream and telling us some of these fun stories. But man, that is some absolutely hilarious, absolutely ridiculous TSM drama. But that's pretty much it for this video today, guys. Let me drop a like if you did enjoy it. I would appreciate that so much. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about anything we talked about in this video today. Subscribe, save today, and all my latest content. Hopefully catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.